What is up, everyone? Thank you so much for listening to another episode of The Tribe of Runners. I'm your host, Liz Myers, and today I have an amazing guest, Alyssa McClellan, and she has just completed the Backyard Ultra at BPN, which is why I have her on the podcast. I have so many questions. I was so excited to see you on content, and briefly came across you recently, saw your social media, was very intrigued, and then realized like how funny some of your content is. And I love that because I do stupid funny content as well. But yours is also very educational, which is something I love too. You know, been doing this for rather a short amount of time, but you've been doing amazing in this industry. You've done quite a lot of races already and have podiumed quite a bit. And I was like, wow, I need to see if you come on the podcast. And you're very generous and you hopped on super quick. So I'm actually leaving tomorrow to go to Tahoe. So I was like, I need to get her on if I can before I leave for Tahoe so I can get this podcast out. So thank you so much for being flexible and getting on here to talk all things running. I appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about a little bit of everything.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So one thing I like to do, which is a very hard question to answer, is what is your background or a little bit about you outside of running? I know it's hard, but I do know you have 4 kids and a husband. So tell us a little about yourself outside of running.
Yeah, so outside of running, I'm a mom. I stay at home with the boys. I have 4 boys. I have a 17, 13. Let's see if I can get this right. 17, 13, 4, and 3. And they keep me super busy with sports, with playing taxi, picking people up from school, taking them to sports, all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, just kind of holding things down at the house. My husband does prosthetics and orthotics, and so he runs a business and he's super busy. So I kind of just like hold down the fort and run in my free time when I find free time.
That's awesome. And first off, that's so amazing what your husband does. So shout out to him. That's super, super cool. And just I can only imagine some of the stories that he has shared with you with like what he gets to do. That's so super, super cool. And also so cool that you have 4 boys. I can only imagine how busy they keep you and how much, especially such, so old and so young too. So your hands are very, very full, which is awesome. And tell us like kind of how and why you got into running. Was it very sporadic? Was it there a purpose behind it? Or, what sparked that interest for you?
So my background, I did a lot of competitive CrossFit from 2013. Really didn't get competitive until 2015. From 2015 to 2018, super competitive. And I just had the older boys at that time, so I had a lot more free time. I did a lot of online nutrition coaching and um, CrossFit coaching. And so I did competitive CrossFit for a few years and kind of just went out of that direction, kind of got burnt out, and my life was just going in a different direction. So, and then I met my husband, and we had 2 more babies, and I really just love that competitive drive. I've always had that competitive drive in me since I was a little kid. Um, I have an older brother, and then I have a younger brother and sister. But having an older brother is like it's like constant competition. So I kind of grew up with that constantly, everything's a competition. It didn't matter what it was. And so I really wanted to feed that competitive drive that I have. And I knew I didn't want to go back to CrossFit because it's such a time consuming sport to keep up with the level that it is at. I love it, but I just didn't have that time anymore now that I have 4 kids. And so wanting to get back in shape after having 2 kids. So I had them back to back. They're only a year apart. And the easiest way for me to get back in shape was through running. So it's low impact, didn't have to do a lot of weights postpartum, and I could feed that competitiveness with doing some local 5Ks and 10Ks and really started there. And there is a very fun local 15K. It's called Fresh 15. And so 15K is 9.6 miles. And I loved every bit of it. It was really the furthest race I'd ever done. And I'd messaged a friend and said, that was so much fun. I love the distance. I think I want to do a half marathon. And the more I researched, I found trail running, and I had no clue. And this was in 2023, so only 2 years ago. So I got on Google, started researching trail running, ultra running, and the fact that people were running 30 miles, 50 miles, 100K, 62 miles, all the way up to 100 miles. And then I found Sally and I saw Sally McRae and I saw she was doing 200 miles. And I was like, this is absolutely insane. And I know I'm insane and I know I can do this. I just need to figure out how to get there. So I literally went from running a 15K in March and signed up for my very first 50K in April of 2023.
Wow.
So, just with the little training, I was like, I know I can do it. Like, I know I'm going to finish. Like, the mental is there. My body was wrecked. It was so hard. I finished it. But yeah, it just really started with researching races. I watched a Sally McRae documentary and really just fell in love with it after that. And after that first 50K, not being able to walk the next day, toenails gone, blisters, bruised, falling on the trails, all of that was so intriguing, and I really, really loved it and just fell in love with it. And I did some more like local 50Ks and then 100K and then jumped to the 100-mile distance and really just fell in love with that.
Yeah,
So
and I have to say you went from what I could see like 50K, 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 and then like 100K, 100 miler, and sub 2400 milers, which is amazing. And how many hundreds have you finished so far? It's been roughly 2 years.
yes, so I believe 6.
Okay,
And
very
then if
cool.
we count the BPN, I mean, it's over 100. So,
Yeah,
uh, so
very
7, I
cool.
believe. But my husband, like, I'm such a big, like, if I've never even done a 100-mile before, I will sign up for it. But my husband's like, okay, let's start small. Okay, you did 50K. Let's do a 50K a few more times. Then let's inch our way up to 100K. And then I felt really confident after that 100K because I had trained so hard for it. And he gave me the go ahead to, okay, let's jump into a 100-mile. And I was like, yes. And so just haven't done anything less since that 100-mile race because what you get out of a 100-mile race, just that distance, you really have to get deep into a race before you can really start. Your body breaks down and your brain breaks down, and just the mental gain that you get after getting past that certain point is so different from 50K is wonderful. It's a great distance. I really like it. But a 50K and 100-mile, there's so much that you can gain in a 100-mile that you can't in a 50K.
Oh yeah, and it's so different to because it could take literally not to say a few hours, but half a day for a 50K, and it could take 2 days for a 100 miler. At least one full night of missing sleep too. So
Yeah,
it's a
and so
it's a lot
that's
different.
sleep deprivation, like have
Yeah.
all the different aspects of a 100-mile race that you have, all the logistics are so much fun. Figuring out the sleep, it's a headache. You really have to plan, but when you're done with it, you're like, that was worth it. Figuring out the sleep deprivation, figuring out like all your light, you can do a 50K and not even go into the night. Like
Mhm.
most people won't go into the night. 100K, you will for a few hours, but then figuring out all the gear for nighttime and just all the aspects of going deeper into a race. The further it gets, the more fun it gets, I think, because there's so many different things that go into it.
Oh, 100%. And it, like you said, it's depending on where you are too, it's not only like the logistics of the course, but like what you're going to change into, if there's required gear, if you need to go into the nighttime that's cold compared to being hot during the day. There's so many different things and there's so many different variables. And it teaches you to really work quick on your feet. You could make a plan to the T and about 80% of the time it doesn't go that way, and so it's adjusting and knowing that like shit happens. I hate to say it, and you got to adjust and continue
And
going. And
that's what's really fun about it. And I think
oh
that's where
yeah.
you can grow as a person is when something happens, when something comes up in life, like you have a way to respond to it now because you've learned that in a race, you have to respond to it in the correct way or it can go south real quick.
Oh
So
yeah.
just learning how to do that is really fun.
Oh yeah, and it's what keeps us coming, I think. Well, that, and because I feel like that kind of dials into like us mentally, because at the end of the day, this is all a mental game for each and every one of us, and we all experience different things at different moments in the race, and it's probably what keeps us coming back for more and more and more and going further and doing crazier things. So it's super cool. And the beginning of this year already, you've done, I know of 2 races. Have you done more than 2 races this year?
Let's what I think I've only done, oh, okay. So yes. So I went to Arkansas and
Okay.
actually DNF'd. I've only DNF'd 2 races,
Okay.
which there's nothing wrong with DNF races. I
Yeah.
think I've got the most out of the 2 times that I DNF'd. So
Mhm.
very early on, I went up to a 40 miler and kind of just like let my ego get the best of me. I wasn't paying attention to pacing, going out too fast, not paying attention to nutrition. Oh, I can wing this. Well, you cannot wing anything in the Texas heat,
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
in the hill country. So that was a DNF, and the way I felt having to walk up to the race director and telling him that I had a DNF because I didn't prepare myself the way I should have, was a feeling that I told myself I never want to feel this way again. And they even got a picture of me like having to sign off, and I was like, I saw the picture and I was like, I don't ever want to feel that
Oh,
way again. But yes, so February I went to Arkansas and did a race. I love going to Arkansas because I'm here in Texas, and so it's pretty flat here. And I was training for Sedona 125 actually this year. And I can tell you I did Mingus instead, and I'll go into that in a minute. But
okay.
I was I went to Arkansas to get some elevation. It was very, very cold, and I love the heat. I love sweating. I love it when it's 115-degree heat index outside. I'm constantly looking for the hottest time of the day to go out and run. Well, this race was freezing temperatures, and
Mm.
every single detail had to be like on point. I had toe warmers in my socks. I had to make sure my entire body was staying warm, my core temperature was staying warm. And I got to mile 75 and the temperature started dropping again. And I wasn't prepared and I didn't handle it well. And I had a DNF that race at mile 75. I thought, I've got 25 more miles of this. It ends with a climb. And my mental just was not there. So that race I ended up DNFing, but I have told a lot of people I don't know that if I didn't DNF, if I would have went into the BPN race or the Mingus Traverse
Mhm.
race so ready to never DNF again. Even though I've said that in
Yeah.
the past, when every time that happens, it is such a wake up call. So the February race was a DNF. I got 75 miles in on that great race. I would love to go back and redeem myself.
For
And
sure.
then I've done some local 5Ks and 15Ks for speed. I usually use those for speed work, and we do it as a family run.
So
And
cool.
then I was signed up for Sedona 125, which it was 2 weeks before the BPN Ultra.
Mhm.
And this year, they actually added the Mingus Traverse 80. And I told my husband, I said, it's almost meant to be. Like, I feel like we love going. This was the second year. We kind of use it as a vacation. And I didn't want to back out. I'd already committed to it, but they added that new distance. And I said, let's do that distance instead. And it worked out great. We had a great time. We still got our vacation in. We actually had an extra day to hang out afterwards. My legs were not too wrecked. And so, yeah, that was the second race of the year, 2 weeks
Mhm.
before the BPN. And yeah, that was such a fun, beautiful race. Ended up placing third,
Yeah.
and it was a great race. It was a good training race, great elevation, just so beautiful.
Yeah, I love that course, and I've never seen Mingus course. I crewed out at Cocodona, and it's a beautiful area. I personally want to move there, so I love that course. That race. Everything about it is amazing. So I'm glad you got out there and got to do that. That's awesome. And what a way to spend a vacation. I personally love race vacations as well, and
Yeah.
I try to use them quite a bit. But I assume you kind of use that race then for a training race. Was the BPN race like more of a goal for you type deal where you want to go after that race?
Yes, it quickly, when I found out that I was in the VPN race, it quickly turned to like an A plus 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 race.
Yeah.
So it was Mingus Traverse was 2 weeks before the VPN race. And so those 2 weeks I focused on recovery,
Perfect.
and I still tried to get time on my feet, but I focused on staying in the sauna, cold plunge, trying to bank on sleep as much as I could. It's really hard to get sleep after a race. But
Hmm.
yeah, I just really try to use those 2 weeks to recover and have a quick turnaround. But 2023, I did some back to back races. So I think that helped with that quick turnaround.
Hmm.
Um, so Yeah.
Yeah. And you did amazing in the Backyard Ultra. So this race, I feel like, just kind of prepared you and got you ready for the Backyard Ultra, which we'll get into. Before that, let's go back to like when I assume you were sitting there paying attention to Nick Bear announcing all of the runners that were that were getting picked to do the Backyard Ultra.
So here's how it worked for me.
Okay.
Last year they had a BPN 50. I don't know if not a lot of people
Yes. Yeah.
know about that race. They had the
Yep.
overnight 50
Mhm.
mile ultra, and I actually won that race, first female.
Hell
And
yeah. Good for you. I did not know that.
I earned my ticket that way because I had kind of reached out on some posts, and I said, hey, I think we should invite the winners of the BPN uh, ultra, the overnight ultra. And they had reached out to me and was like, hey, I believe it was Tony. He sent me a message on Instagram and said, I hope you've been training. And I messaged my husband. I said, oh my gosh, I hope this is what this means, like that I get in this race. And he said, you're in. And I was like, everything else is a BC race. Like, we're going all in on this. So excited.
Heck
Just
yeah.
because I know how BPN runs their events, having the one in 2023 and just their atmosphere and the way they do things as a business. I was so excited to go back to another one of their events because I knew it was
Yeah.
going to be great.
That's awesome. I'm a huge BPN fan, so I didn't realize you were the one that won first female. I paid attention to that race last year too, and it's just so crazy. But so first off, congratulations.
Thank you.
And what a amazing way to like kind of get in there too. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna lie, I went into the lottery and I sat there and waited for my name to get called. It did not. But it was super cool to witness it this year. And they've mentioned this multiple times on social media and like kind of just from people posting things. I think next year is going to be huge for this Backyard Ultra, and this year is like just literally kind of skimming the surface of it, which was so cool for you to be a part of. So once you got the note and or message that you were going to go in there, obviously training kind of shifted. You said this went to be your A race and you kind of dialed everything in towards it. Let's get to, like getting yourself there. I know you said you lived in Texas. So is it a far drive for you? Is it kind of close? Did your whole family go? How'd your crew go and all of that good stuff?
So Austin is only about 4 hours from here, so it's drivable distance. And yeah, so once I knew I was going to get in, I kind of just kept training the same high volume. I just love to be on my feet, whether I'm training for a race or not. I just really love to go out and do long runs. So I just kept doing stacking long runs and focused on recovery. On the Mingus Traverse race, I may have gone a little slower than what I could have, just playing it safe, just
Mhm.
not really focusing on not getting hurt, making sure my body felt good, paying attention to any like tweaks or anything like that, if I felt anything. And yeah, just really kept training the same. I had plenty of time from when I found out I was getting in the race up into the race. Um, to prepare for it. But I have never done a backyard ultra before, so honestly didn't know any sort of if there was different training for it or not. So what I did is just kept my mileage high, worked on mental a lot, really focused on mental. And like I said, in 2023, I had done Sedona 125. So I knew, and I was a beginner. I had, looking back at pictures, you can see it in my face. I had no idea what I was doing.
Mhm.
Um, and so but I knew I could get through 125 miles. I'd done it before as a beginner and I felt more confident this time. So I knew I could get at least that far, um, even if I had to dig for it mentally. So that was a big goal, was doing it that way. But I didn't have strategic training for it. Just like I said, just stacking miles. And a couple of weeks leading up to it, I would wake up early. I told somebody this yesterday, actually. I would wake up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and go out and run some 4 mile loops
Mhm.
to try to stimulate that and or simulate that. And it didn't end up doing anything for me, like as far as sleep deprivation. What it ended up doing was being super tired at 2 a.m. and not wanting to get up. And it just grew my mental of how bad do you want this? Do you want to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning when everybody else is sleeping and go out there and train? Or do you want to sleep and wake up at 8 o'clock because you're comfortable right now? So it ended up being more mental training for me, which I think is almost as important or more important than the physical training.
Oh, I can agree. And, I'm sure you get this quite a lot too. Everyone's like, well, how do you train yourself mentally? And there's so many different ways, but at the same time, a lot of it is just getting yourself uncomfortable, like doing the hard things when your head's like, I don't feel like it, like when your alarm goes off, do you get up right away and start your day, or do you lay there and hit the snooze button about 15 times? You know what I mean? So there's multiple ways to do it. And it's always, I feel like, just getting yourself uncomfortable and overcoming that little voice inside our head that we hear consistently.
Yeah,
But
the only way to learn that is the only way to learn how to suffer is to go and suffer. Put yourself in those positions where you're not sure how you're going to do, you're not sure how you're going to get through it. And then once you figure it out, you just gain that confidence of, I went through some hard things and I figured it out and I grew from it. And now I know going into this next one, I can have confidence because I've gotten through some tough spots before.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Yeah, and I love that you did that. And it's such a, backyard ultras, I feel like it's even more of like a niche inside ultra running, which ultra running is very niche is, it's a whole different ball game, but backyard ultras are so different and there really isn't much coaching and or data behind it on like what's the best way to run them. You see people like Harvey Lewis who just goes out and knocks out an amazing effort, and then you see other people going out there and doing subpar type deal, and that's like, what's the difference? And it's, I swear it's all mental when it comes to ultra running, even backyard ultras in that aspect. But with this, and you getting up there and getting ready for the race, where do you find now that you've done this backyard ultra was like the big thing for you between, like, say, Sedona 125 compared to a backyard ultra? What were the biggest differences for you?
The biggest differences would be in a 100-mile race, they have usually have generous cutoffs. Even at aid stations, they'll have like cutoffs until you get to that aid station, which kind of keep you on track. But you have time to take a dirt nap. You have time to, a lot of these races, you have time to go and sleep for 30 minutes to an hour. You have time to sit in an aid station for 10 to 15 minutes and get everything perfectly done and go back out there and still hit your goal and still make that cutoff. In a backyard ultra, you do not have room for error. You go out there, you hit your paces, you come in and you get check, 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 and then you're right back out there. You don't have time to. You really don't. I changed clothes a few times, but it was more of a stress than it was like I would rather not change clothes than have that
Mm.
stress because you are on a clock and you have to follow it to a T. And that was my plan. We went in with a plan and we really executed it well. I'm really proud of how we executed it and just stuck to the plan. And yeah, that's the biggest difference is you don't have room for error. You be prepared, have a strong team that when you come in, they're doing things for you kind of while you just sit there and let your mind rest for just a couple of minutes. And then you've got to get right back up and right back out there. So backyard ultras mentally are a lot more mental. You need a lot more mental strength, I believe, for backyard ultras than for a 100-mile race.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. And I can only imagine how dialed in you have to be. I've done a few races, never a backyard ultra. I do really want to do one, but you come in, say, with anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15 minutes, and that's nothing if you think about it. Because, you, like you mentioned with coming into an aid station, you could literally take 30 minutes at each one if you really wanted to, or you could take 3 minutes here, 15 minutes there, and kind of go, um, you know, aid station to aid station. With this, it's a lot different. And you kind of spoke about your crew, so let's go into your crew. How'd you pick them? Who were they? And give us little details on that.
So first is my husband. Like he is always, I won't do a race if he's not there. He is so. I always tell everybody he thinks of things that I do not think of.
Very cool.
His brain works a totally different way than I do, and thank goodness it does because if we had the same brain, it would not work out. He just looks into all the details from start to finish, and like I said, he sees those minor details in between that I do not see. So he's crew chief, and he is so good at leading. He's such a good leader. He leads the other crew members very well. I had a girl named Rachel who I met at the BPN 50 through a friend. He had referred her to me to come out and pace me, and it was just a match made in heaven. We run the same. We run the same things, or we like the same things. We love running in the heat. She knows how to get me out of some tough spots. She's a really great crew member, and she is a fantastic runner. And we have our background is very similar. Um, and so we connect very well. My other team member is a girl named Faith. And she was like a mental coach. She's very strong. She's very, very strong mentally. And I joked with some people and said, but it was true. It wasn't even a joke. Every time I came in after a loop, I would sit in the chair, raise my legs up, and she gave me a leg massage, foot massage, calf massage. So I always tell people she gave me 29 massages. Like, she did more work than I did. She was out there working. But I had a great crew and couldn't do it without them. With the mental push and those dark spots that you get in, they kind of remind you of, hey, you can get out of this, just stand up and get back out there. And they did everything possible to make sure I was in that corral 60 seconds before they said go every single time. They made sure my handhelds had ice water in them, and had my gels in them. Faith made sure that my hat had ice in it. She made sure she was putting ice on my chest, on my back. She was making sure my bandana had ice in it. So you have to have a strong crew. You have to have your crew dialed in, and everybody has to have a job and really get along and know that, hey, we're here to compete. If anybody has an attitude, or that's normal. All that's normal, and you just all have to make sure that you're on the same page. And sleep deprivation, they have the sleep deprivation just as much as any of the racers. And so you really just have to understand that everybody is on the same page no matter what's going on. And the crew worked very, very well together. And I told people, the crew is dialing in, so y'all just get ready, because the stronger the crew, the stronger the runner. And it's so true.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I've done a lot of crewing and pacing. I love doing it. Selfishly, I think it's so rewarding to help someone exceed in a dream. And because I'm a runner too, so it's, so cool to push and encourage someone. And I couldn't agree with that anymore. It truly does boil down to who is behind the runner in any type of race, because there are points in a race where the mental side of things get the best of you. And if you have a crew that is struggling, or you come in and you can sense the struggle or discombobulation into the sense, it's going to put a big toll on you as a runner. So having a strong crew, having people that you can trust, and just come in and literally, like you say, lay there and have someone massage your legs 29 times, that's amazing and so
Yeah.
cool.
Oh my gosh.
And
I was like, I looked forward to getting in at that 53 to 55 mark every single time, so I would have enough time to catch a leg massage.
yeah.
You kept me on pace with your leg massages. So
That's so cool. I
yeah.
love that. Yeah. And it's little things like that that really make a difference for us runners when we're out there, is knowing there's something to come into, or, I know I'm going to get my legs massaged in 7 minutes, or, whatever the case may be. It's that little push and those little treats that really make a difference, which is awesome. But let's kind of dive into the race. You mentioned, you get there, you have an amazing crew, you're ready and set to go. So, this is obviously not your first BPN race, it's your second. So you kind of know how things go, but what were the main differences in the sense of the atmosphere there? This race, looked amazing at the ranch, which was so cool to see from afar, but what was it like being there?
Man, it was 10 times better than the BPN overnight ultra, and that one was really good.
Very cool.
When I showed up to the BPN overnight ultra, me and my husband just talked about, man, BPN is doing something different than anybody else out there is doing. From the crew, everybody that is putting the race together, Hope, Tony, Nick has just a really good crew, and he has people working with him that are so passionate about what they're doing that you can see it and you can feel it. And so when I was able to go to another BPN race, just knowing how it was going to be ran was so special. The atmosphere out there was, like I said, 10 times better than before. They take care of the crew, which is very important, because like I said, the crew is the foundation for the runner. They make sure that the crew has everything. They're feeding everybody. They make sure everybody has what they need. Tony was running around asking if anybody needed anything. I mean, I know he probably had 100 different jobs, and he did all 100 jobs very well. And Hope did too. I mean, the crew was just fantastic. And the camera crew, I don't know how many camera crew members they had, but they were running the ultra just like we were. Um,
Wow.
it was from start to finish. It was fantastic. They make you feel special by the way they send out their packaging, their
Mhm.
invites. They make you feel special in emails. They make you feel special when you show up to the ranch from the person that's getting you in the gate, waving you in. So nice. They make you feel special when you're getting your bib and making sure that you have everything that you need. They make you feel special throughout the entire race. After the race, I had so many BPN members come up to me and talk to me and make sure everything was okay. How did everything go? Like they're concerned about everybody out there. The atmosphere is special, and it's something. I've done some great races, and they're all really great and really well ran. But there's something special about the BPN atmosphere. It's different, and you can sense it. And it was really special to be a part of that. It really was. I feel very lucky, very grateful to have that experience. If I never get to do it again, if something happens to me, I'm so happy that I was able to do that race because it was life changing for sure.
That's incredible. And, you know, it's so crazy to be on the other side because obviously I am not there. I followed it, like waking up random times to check this thing. And sometimes the actual tracker wasn't working. I know a lot of people complain, but like, listen, I am not good with technology. So I could
Yeah,
never be mad that like it's not working. But they were so on point with updating social media, like VPN, even Nick. And then, like, obviously, I was following a few people that were out there. So, like, watching them and like it was amazing. So I can only imagine what it was like being there and actually being at the ranch and getting to meet and see all these people.
and I think that the way that they ended up running the social media and not actually having the live stream the entire time was so smart. It had people coming back waiting. And when I was done with the race, I was on my phone at that 55-minute mark waiting to watch Kendall and Kim come in. And the way it was ran was wonderful. There's so many
Mhm.
people that were able to interact in the chat. I had so many people from Tyler and really all over, like all of my friends were in the chat and they were having such a good time following this race. And they
Mhm.
were sending me messages, and I felt like BPN really included the entire world in this race.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
I told my husband before we went to the race, I feel so lucky to share this experience with Faith and Rachel because I know it's going to be special. And I told him that's what I'm most excited about for this race was sharing this experience with those two because I knew it was going to be special. And being able to give that to them, that feeling that environment and the love from everybody around was really special.
Yeah, that's incredible. And it's just I think something completely new, and I'm excited to see like what continues to happen with what BPN does and all this. I've been following them and Nick Bear for quite some time, and I feel like he has made dramatic changes, but all in good ways for the endurance community. And I hope he stays and just does some more incredible things. But you had mentioned, and I kind of want to touch base on this because I saw this, and I'm not too many or not sure how many people actually know, but they sent you like a care package with a hat and a whole bunch of random stuff. Kind of explain that too, because that was not not typical. That's very different. I've signed up for multiple races and I've never got a care package. So kind of explain that for us.
Right. So what I was talking about, how they make you feel special from start to finish, was they sent me a box that had some of their product in it, a hat, and a poker chip. And it's the little details, man, that
Mm.
are so fun. It's so fun. And it was a poker chip that said admit one. And it was bring it to check in. Make sure you have this at check in. And what they did with that poker chip was they put it in a jar, and Kendall and Kim ended up splitting the jar, but whoever the winner was gets everybody's poker chip.
Oh, that's so cool.
Those little details like that are so fun. And with their 50-mile overnight race, their medals, they gave us this magnetic piece that fit into your medal. And if you finish the race, you hand it to him, and Nick personally like clips it in, and then you get your medal. If you did not finish, you have to give that away. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so
Very
the little details like that, like I said, are so fun. And at check-in, Nick gave us his book, and we were able to have him autograph it if we found the time to do that. So yeah, the details are awesome.
That's amazing. So you're telling me you have Nick Bear's book?
Yes, I
Heck
do.
yeah, that's so cool.
Yep. I haven't got to start it yet because I'm finishing some other books. Like, I have, like, 2 or 3 open right now, and I'm like, "Alyssa, you
Mm.
have to stay focused on one book, finish this book." But they're all so good, and I'm just, like, back and forth, like, sometimes I listen to a book on a run, and then I come back and read a different book,
Mhm.
and my husband's always like, "You need to finish the one that you're on." I'm like,
Yeah.
"One book at a time."
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and that's so cool, like you mentioned, it's things like that that make people feel so special, and it's probably very insignificant things for him that he does that really makes a difference, which is super, super cool.
And it shows you that, it doesn't take a lot to you don't have to do big things to make people feel special, but that's what people want. They want to feel seen, heard, and feel special.
Oh, for sure. And like you said, don't get me wrong, like, yes, I'm sure a lot went into like the packages and all that, but what
Yeah,
they did at the races were making you feel like a very important human when, we all like, oh, we're just I'm little Liz over here, I'm nobody. But when you're in that race and they make you feel so
yeah,
important, that's huge.
yeah, yeah. They really do. It's like you feel like a superstar that day.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that's their goal or not, but they make you feel like whether you did one loop or if you did 55 or 56, however many, it doesn't matter. Like they make you feel like a superstar. It doesn't matter how much work you did. Like you're there, you put in the work, you're going to get treated just like the top tier athlete. So
Yeah, that's incredible. So speaking of loops, how many loops did you do for this race?
I completed 28 loops.
Okay.
And on the 29th loop, I went out, I believe, about a mile. Um, so on the sheet it says I did 117, but my watch says I did 119. But you don't get
Okay.
credit for that like half loop.
Hmm.
My watch is like 119.5. So I'm like, yes, I did 120 miles, and we're going to go ahead and round that up. But yeah, 28 complete loops, and then a little bit of the 29th. But that's where started getting dizzy. Couldn't stay like on the course, was going off to the side. And then when I would bend over, I would just start tipping over. And before I went out on that loop, I told my husband, I was like, "You're not listening to me. Like, I don't think this is a good idea." And he pushes me in such a great way, but also knows how to watch me and can read me. And he's like, "Get up out of the chair. Like, we're not going to sit in this chair and die in this chair. Like, if you're going to end up dying, you're going to do it out there on the field. So get
Hmm.
up." And that's when I started the 29th loop. And then he's like, "Yeah, I did tell medical to follow you." So like, even though I was being tough on you, like I told him like, "Hey, keep an eye on her." And that's the other great thing is they have medical all over the course, like zooming around, making sure that everybody's, so you feel safe, even though you're out
Hmm.
there in that heat. Um, some people getting dehydrated, things like that. Like, you know, that you're not going to be left out there alone. So, yeah, so I did a little bit of the 29th loop, and then I looked over at him and I was like, I told him, I was like, "Okay, I can't stand up straight." And they helped me to medical, and everything ended up being fine. Just my body shut down. It was done. But the great thing about that is now my brain knows where it shut off last time, and we're just going to pick up from there and keep moving forward.
Yeah, and this is your first backyard ultra, which is amazing. 120 miles is huge, and I know you've ran like 125, but it's so different. Like we said, backyard ultras are way different than any type of sanctioned race in a sense. So an amazing effort, and so cool to be at BPN's backyard ultra, which is awesome. Kind of tell us like where and how nutrition went for you, nutrition, hydration, because like you mentioned, it was hot. It was very hot that, during this race. So I know you live in Texas. I don't know how different the temperature is for you. Obviously, it's hot, but is it much of a big difference from your 4 hour drive or is it about the same?
It felt the same. I never felt this race is hot. I can't handle the heat. I never felt like the heat bothered me at all. Wore a big hat. There's a race here in Texas, and this is going to be I'm going to do it again this year. It's called Habanero 100, and it's in August. They pick the hottest date in that month, and it starts at noon. So it's really heating up. Like, they start in the middle of the heat, and that race really prepared me. Like, first, I love running in the heat. I love everything about it, and doing 100-mile race at Habanero, doing the 100 miler in 22 hours gave me the confidence for the heat at the BPN, and I never felt like it bothered me. And they had ice stations like every mile at the BPN where you could squeeze ice water all over you.
Wow.
And you can really tell the people that wanted to be out there for a long time. They are stopping at the water stations, icing themselves off. Yes, it may take a minute or 2 minutes, but it's going to pay off in the long run. And don't pass a water station. Like, do not pass it and not completely drench your body in ice water. It just pulls that heat off of you. So yeah, I just really feel comfortable running in the heat. I made sure I stayed on top of nutrition, electrolytes, salt pills, and as far as eating, you are running a little bit slower, so you don't need as much food, I don't feel like. But still, each loop, when I would go in, I would try to have something every time. The big hit for this race for me was kettle cooked salt and vinegar chips. I think I went
Oh,
for 2 big bags of it.
wow.
When I had finished a bag, I think one of the crew members was like, "Hey, we need to get another bag," because I told him, I was like, "These chips are hitting. I'm getting the salt in, the crunch in, and I usually don't have any like GI issues. I try to train my gut like 2 weeks leading up to a race. Like, I really just kind of eat junk food just so my stomach is like can process it, and I will also eat and then go straight out on a run sometimes, just so I know what it feels like to have that heavy feeling of food like moving around in your body.
Mhm.
But yeah, I try to stay on top of nutrition, eat something small every single loop, and take gels out with me. If I didn't have anything in there, I always like to have something on me so I don't have to think about, oh gosh, like I feel like a little weak. Like, always have something on me. And just one handheld had electrolytes in it, and then the other one water. And when I got
Okay.
tired of drinking like that sweet electrolyte, I would just do salt pills.
Okay.
And actually, at the end of the race, when I went to the medical tent, they took my blood and checked my electrolyte levels, and she was like, "You did a really good job. Like, your electrolyte levels are perfect." That's so nice to hear, because I worked
Heck yeah.
really hard on every single hour making sure I was taking in electrolytes, salt pills, all that stuff. And it was probably the chips because they were really salty.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. I honestly, like, hands hat off to you for doing that. I don't think I could ever be on par with sodium. I live in Florida. It's super hot here as well. And yeah, I feel like every time I get done, I'm like, man, I don't think my electrolytes were on par. But that's incredible that you did that. And it probably was those chips, but so funny. And I love that you mentioned too that you carried food out there with you, because I was always kind of like, I wonder how people are doing it. Are they just going out there, coming in and eating, or like eating out there? And I'm sure you kind of did a mix of both of them, but knowing you always had the nutrition on you, it's so smart to know, like, hey, just in case I maybe get hungry 2 miles into this loop, at least I know I have a gel I can suck down and get me through. And that way you're
Right.
not like stressing.
It, the stress, yes.
Mhm.
So you want to use your brain as little as possible. And so if I'm out there stressing, oh my gosh, like I feel a little shaky, I feel a little wobbly. What am I going to do? I have 3 more miles left and I'm running low on food. I don't have anything. I didn't bring anything out here with me. It's been an hour and a half since I ate. No, like, if you just take something with you and have it on you, then I do not have to think about that. I kept salt pills on me, even though I was taking them inside every single time. I kept salt pills on me, made sure I had enough water, and made sure I had something to eat. So my brain did never had to, if I had a low moment where I thought it was something that had to do with that, I never had to think about it. I didn't have to use that extra brain energy because I really tried to conserve what I was thinking about and just try to focus on the race itself only. So yeah,
Yeah.
having those little things with you, keeping that on you, makes you not have to even think about it.
Yeah, and that's so smart, because the more energy you have to waste thinking or being concerned about something is horrible. I can only imagine for these races too, because it's like we mentioned, it's a little bit different with the Backyard Ultra. But what would you say was the one thing to help you get through this race? Like, did you listen to music? Were you running with anyone? Listening to books? You mentioned listening to books while you run. What was kind of that thing that kept you going while you're out there for the loops?
When I first started running ultras, I would listen to music from almost the beginning all the way to the end. But now I really do not feel like I need it or even want it. I
Very
feel
cool.
like I can be more peaceful without that. Now, I will, like in low moments, if I'm like, man, I'm really in a low spot, I will put my headphones. I kept my phone at the tent 90% of the race. But I will take and listen to some music if I'm really having a low moment. But really nothing more than an hour with that. But um, what I would do if I was having a low moment, I listened to music, and then I would find people to talk to, because talking to other people and giving your energy to them, like, you really get it in return. So I use that strategy of cheering other people on, and then you just get it. It's back and forth. And also, I would play like some little games with numbers on my watch. Um, I did walk run the whole time. I knew the paces I want to hit, so I would run, and then I'd slow down till I would hit that pace, and then I'd run, and then watch my average pace drop some more, and then catch it back up. So it was just like playing snake. And
Hmm.
also used landmarks. Like, there were several signs out there on the turns and cross points and things like that. And I knew, and this is a strategy that my husband had actually told me, like, when we were driving out to the race, was, hey, I think you should find like a tree or sign, something that you need to be at certain minute marks. And I don't know how far, if I would have got that far, if I didn't have those landmarks, but I knew where I needed to be at the 10-minute mark, the 15-minute mark, the 45-minute mark. And I knew at the last water station, if I was at that water station at 51:30, I would be running in exactly at the 53-minute mark. And so it really kept me on pace. And sometimes I'd be 30 seconds ahead or 30 seconds down, or even on some of them, I was like 2 minutes off. But I knew, okay, I'm 2 minutes off. So let me just speed up in this little section to try to make up some ground and get to that water station and still be there at the 51:30 mark. So just playing little mind games like that, playing with your head. It does use some energy, but I'm not using my brain for anything else in that race besides those little mind games. And so that really helped get me through. But you have to focus on one loop at a time, and because it can be overwhelming when you finish. Oh, I just finished 2 loops and I'm trying to get to 24 loops. If you look at the big picture, like, wow, I have 22 more loops to go. Um, that is so much to process. So play little mind games, and one loop at a time, 1 mile at a time, really.
Yeah, you have probably like one leg rub at a time because you knew that leg rub was coming at the end. But no, it's so true. And I didn't even think about the landmarks too, because you're literally running the same loop the whole time, which
Yeah.
is awesome to think like if I hit this point and this point, like you just have that like relaxation of like I'm
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. Exactly. I'm okay. I'm here at this mark, at the 45-minute mark, just like I was last time, and I got in on time. And so I know I'm fine. Like, it's okay to like walk for 60 seconds and then run again. Like, you're okay. You're on track. Yeah, it lets you know that you're okay, like you said.
Yeah, that's so, so, so cool. And again, amazing, amazing accomplishment. We kind of talked about like what one was one of your biggest takeaways, like in the sense of the difference between a an actual like 100-mile race compared to the backyard ultra. But what was like the biggest learning thing for you? Because this was your first backyard ultra. What was the biggest learning thing for you with this?
So the biggest learning thing for me was, even if you come in, I had a few loops there at the end where I kind of freaked out because I came in at minute 56 and not minute 53, and I pushed too hard to even get in at minute 56. And I'm like, you still have 4 minutes. 4 minutes is a lot of time. You don't need a lot when you go in there. Your crew is going to take care of everything. You do not have to push like you're rushing 60 seconds. Like you have like 4 minutes. Like, you're going to be okay. Do not push. Like, stay calm, get in, get your stuff. You're fine. Get back out. Unless you're coming in with 30 seconds, like, there's no reason to stress and jack your heart rate up. Just stay calm. And I think if I had done that on some loops and not like let it mess with me mentally, I was so focused on that 53 to 55 mark that if I got outside of that, I almost kind of lost it mentally. And if you
Mhm.
lose it mentally at all, things can go south quick. So um, going into it next time, I will, if I'm off my time a little bit, it's okay. Like, you have so much time. Like, you can get so much done. You have 3 people that are helping you get that done. Even if you come in and you have 1 minute, like Kim and Kendall were doing it. Like, you have so much work that you can get done in 1 minute and get right back out there. So yeah, just don't. If your plan starts fading just a little bit on a few loops, like, don't freak out. Just like recover from it, stay calm, and everything's going to be fine.
Very cool, very cool. And, things will never actually learn until we get out there and do them. So you've done it, and now you get to go out there, and I'm sure you'll go out back after another one, whether it be another BPN one next year or a different one in the future. But kind of speaking on future goals, what are some big audacious goals that you have for the running sport for you in the future?
Sedona 125 was on the list. Already signed up for it, but I have um, already wanting to defer that to focus on BPN for 2026. So it is an AAA race, the BPN. I have already started moving my schedule around with some things that I thought I wanted to do, and will kind of move those to 2027 because I really want to go all in on 2026 BPN. Um, I know I can do really well at it. I know I can do more than what I went out there and did. And the only way to know that is to put yourself in those situations and trial and error. And so I have a backyard under my belt now, and I've learned from it and taken notes. And I want to do a few more timed style races. And you never perfect a race, but I want to perfect a few things for and try a few other strategies for backyard and just put time on my feet, man, and get the mileage under my belt, grow my mental strength, and really be able to push for 2026. In August, I want to do the Habanero because it's such a great training race for the heat. It's a great atmosphere. It's a great race. It's super fun. And it's not technical. And so you can go out there and really push yourself in the heat and get that confidence under your belt. So, yeah, Habanero, a few timed races, and really just go all in on it. Because I would say I was all in on BPN, but it was kind of a last minute all in.
Okay.
And I did well with being kind of all in. And so I know what I can do if I'm just fully 1 year, 365 days committed to that one goal.
Oh,
So
for
that's
sure.
the big goal, though.
Heck yeah. I love that. So, and you kind of mentioned this in the sense of like loving hot races. So I have a question. I live in Florida and the
Oh,
Keys is out here.
here.
Yeah. Do you have any desire to do the Keys 100 out here?
Yes. So
Okay.
that has been on my list since I started running. One,
Okay.
because I love like the non-technical. I love road running so much. And it's kind of like
Okay.
on a highway, right?
So it's you take the main road from the Key Largo all the way down to the Keys to mile marker 0. So it's along. It's not like a highway. It is a busy-ish road because it's like the main road in there. But yeah, it is all pavement and all Florida heat.
Yeah, so I have looked at that race really since I started ultra running because I've been to Florida several times. It's beautiful. I love it. I love road running, and it's hot, and it just looks great. It looks so much fun. It looks beautiful, and so that one is definitely on the list for sure. And Badwater is always going to be on my list. Badwater 135, just because it's miserable, and I love the. I think the more miserable the race, the better I can do.
Yeah, that was my next question is if you had desire to do
Yes.
Badwater. So yeah, if you love the heat, you'll yeah.
Since I read David Goggins' book, I'm like, I'm going to write this down. I know I just
Yeah.
started last month, but this is on the list.
I love it. And I've been out to Battle Royale. I'll be there this year. I crew, so I've crewed and paced it. It's amazing. The whole atmosphere, everyone's like, is it really it's kind of like even more of a niche. I hate to say that, but like that community is just different. Like everyone is
Mhm.
bad water, which is really cool. Everyone's super nice. And like once you're in, everyone treats you like family, which is so cool. So you have to get out there and crew and pace a little bit. I
Yeah,
know the race director likes, yep.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, and it's fun too. It's fun to experience it and to get out there and see the whole course. But the Keys is wild as well. It is hot, but I think you'll thrive in it. If you like the heat, I think you do amazing out there and it would be cool. So if you're ever going to do the Keys, let me know. I will come out and cheer you on for
Oh my
sure.
gosh, yes.
Yeah. And then my next question for you, it's kind of odd one, but I mean, it's not. It's running. Do you have any desire to do an actual like 200-mile race?
At some point, yes.
Okay.
I'm actually crewing Rachel. She's going to do a 200-mile race in September. And so being able to be in that environment and seeing how that race is, yes, I would love to try because like I talked about earlier, the deeper you go in the race, the more you learn about yourself.
Oh
And
yeah.
you change. It changes you. And I was actually wanting to sign up for Cocodona 250, and my husband talked me out of it. He's like, I don't think we're quite ready for it. I had him like kind of convinced for a little bit, but ended up going with Sedona 125. But just because like I said, the planning for it, all that is so fun, and it takes you to a different place. And I can't imagine how different a 200-mile race is than a 100-mile race. Just the more you learn about yourself and the mental part of it.
For sure. I will tell you, my 200 was amazing. I'm already ready for another one, but it's because of the mental thing. I got to a point, I love the whole mental aspect of racing, I should say that, and I'm sure everyone knows, but I got to a point where I couldn't get out of my head, and I finished and then was like, I need to go back and get out of my head because I was, like as a runner, you want to have the high, have the low, have the high, have the low. And I like never came out of that low. So I'm like, I need to go back and get out of that low because I don't want to finish a race in a low. I want to, finish really high, but it is wild. So you'll love it. You'll love the 200. It's a whole different ball game, way different than hundreds, obviously, and logistics. If you love logistics, just wait for the 200. It is crazy. I told everyone the hardest part of my training was doing all the logistics for the 200, just because it is so much work. And especially, luckily, I did one here in Florida, so it wasn't too far. But like, if you have to travel, that's even more logistics hectic. But I can't wait to follow your journey. I think it's going to be amazing. I'm super pumped. I hope you get back into, go back out there for the Backyard Ultra at BPN and crush it. So I will be cheering you on. And I'm going to enter again. I hope I am out there with you going after my first.
I mean, like you said, the 200 community, I'm sure is just like so inviting. And then, like you said, the Badwater community, but the BPN community also is so special. And so when somebody gets to be a part of that, it really is. So I hope that you do. I hope you get in and get to experience that because it is so special. And I think everybody should feel that special.
I hope as well. And if not, maybe I'll find someone and be like, hey, I'll come out and crew and pace you because I need to be out there. It looks awesome. And I've seen so many things. And after hearing everything that you've said too, it sounds amazing. Super excited to see what he truly does in this industry. I mean, they just released their new product with the Go One More Sport Plus, which I have had. I literally just got last night. And I'm excited to see like what they do genuinely in this whole endurance sport. I think he's just getting started and I'm really excited to see what he does. And I'm excited to see what you do in the future as well.
Yeah, running is growing, man, so fast. It is on the rise, and not only just running now, but I think that they really did put last man standing races on the map. And I think you'll see last man standing races really grow after watching that race.
For sure.
They made it so special.
Yeah. They really did. And I've heard a lot of people say like, oh, well, nothing will replace Biggs, Biggs Backyard Ultra. But I'm not saying it's going to replace it, but I think they're going to be hand in hand with the two. And it's so cool to witness and be a part of, and very excited to see, where all of this craziness goes. But it is wild. I got into running, honestly, really got into running around when you did. I kind of ran here and there, but since I've like really taken this sport seriously, it has been crazy to see how much it has grown. And I'm like, maybe it's just because like I'm more involved in running, but at the same time, like I hear it from other people that I know are not runners that they're like, hey, like running is getting pretty big. I hear it on this and that compared to like, not hearing it at all, which is awesome.
Yeah, no, I really do think, like you said, it's not just like being in it and actually seeing it. Like, no, it is actually growing. Like running is really on the rise because it's so easy. Like, I mean, it's not easy, but it's a, you don't get instant gratification from it. And I think that's a big part of it. But all you need is a pair of shoes, and you just go out and start with the walk and then add running and then walk, run. Like, you don't have to be anything special. I'm never going to be the fastest athlete, but I know how hard I can work, and that hard work is what gets you so far. So that's the cool thing is you do not have to be the fastest runner. Like you can be yourself and run your race in your pace, and you can have a strategic plan and go out there and nail it.
No, I agree 100%. And I think a lot of things that people don't realize until they get into it is out on the outside, it looks very competitive. Like you see all these people chasing after all these times and all of this. But at the end of the day, it's really like a you versus you, me versus me type deal where you go out there and you want to see what you can do. And then, yes, cool, you do good. But at the same time, if you don't and you're not the fastest or, not the top three or podium or anything like that, it's, what did you do to get through whatever struggle that you face? Because we all face different adversities in trail running or road running, in ultra running, I should say. And it's what you can do to get through it. And I think that's what makes this sport so special.
Right. And if your goal is not to go out there and win the race, like your wins are, I had a really low point and I got myself out of that. And I'm proud of that because I've never been able to do that in my life. Like that's some people's outlook on this is my big win from this is I was in the deepest, darkest spot and I overcame that. And that is a huge win. And in a BP or in a last man standing race, you're not racing people. You may want to be the last person standing, like, which is great, huge goal. The last woman standing, but you're not going toe to toe. Like you're not racing. You're not following their pace and trying to play games with them. Like you're in it for you, running your pace and your strategy and seeing how that's going to play out in the end. And that's what I think is the cool thing about it is it's not a toe to toe race.
And at the end of the day, you need someone to keep going, to
Yes.
really push you, which I think is why these backyard ultras are so amazing. Because if you are the last two or say the last three, you need them to continue to go farther. Because as soon as one person drops or there's only one person standing, the race is done. You cannot go any further. It ends right then and there. So it just goes to show these races are a lot different, and it can really make you and another person work hard together and continue to encourage each other to push each other so you can do your best and see what you can do in a race.
It really teaches you that you need to lean on other people if you want to go far. And that's always been a struggle of mine is to let other people help and let people in and lean on other people. But last man standing, you really have to have people to lean on to get further. And that's how it is in life. If you want to go far, like you have to lean on other people. And it makes it really special and you can create that bond with that person. And that second person is so important that I didn't even know this until recently. That person is called the assist in last man standing races because they got you as far as you got because of them. So they're almost more important than that last person standing.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, when that person decides to stop, you're done, so it is really crazy. And I know, through other people that have ran backyard ultras where they've said like, I know I could have kept going, but the person that I was, with had to stop. And I'm like, oh, like, how does that make you feel? And they're like, well, I couldn't have done it without them. I couldn't have got as far as I could without them. So even though like they didn't get to necessarily go as far as they wanted, they were still thankful to have that person there, which is so cool.
Yeah. It just creates that special bond, I think.
Yes. Yeah. So true. All right. So thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast. One last question that I always like to ask everyone that is on the pod is this podcast is called The Tribe of Runners. Honestly, I fell in love with the sport for the mental aspect of things and then got to meet a lot of the people in the community and just fell in love with the community and everyone in this running world, which is why I've made the Tribe of Runners podcast to share everyone's story, because I truly do think that everyone has a great story and it can encourage and inspire so many people. So with all of that being said, when you think of the word tribe in the ultra running world, what does that mean to you?
For me, it is just a group of people that have the same mindset, that are trying to go far, not only in races, but in life, and elevate other people. And like I said, lean on each other and use each other. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And together is that tribe. You have to have your tribe, just like my crew. Another word for that is my tribe. They are there for me, and they are more important than I am in the race. And find your tribe and hang on to them because they're special people.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. I love that. So thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast, and I cannot wait to see what you do in the future.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I look forward to talking more.
Heck yeah.